today we have another gift that we are unwrapping and channeling messages from. So I'm super, super, super excited to do this reading. I also want to quickly say thank you to Adela for sending me this beautiful, magical gift, and for also the encouraging message that came with it. And honestly, that note, it really hit home for me because it was such a simple message, but I think I didn't realize how much I just kind of needed that reminder. So when I read it, it just felt very deeply validating, like on a soul level for me. So I genuinely want to say thank you. And I'm truly, truly so appreciative of both the gift and the thoughtful note that you sent with it. So yeah, that being said, let's get started with today's reading here and see what little gift and what beautiful magical messages or love letter even that wants to come through from our higher selves today. So let's get started here. Oop, the cards are very ready. We have number 44, Divine Matrix. All right, beautiful card. Let's get one more, please. Okay, we have Sacred Reverence. And we're going to get one last card now. Actually, I'm going to put that in the middle. One last card, please. Okay, perfect. That was really fast. All right, Roots of Abundance number 2. What's really coming through as I look at these cards, it's almost like that same kind of energy that I received, which is that encouragement. And I'm glad I said that before I started the reading, because I can feel this is just an encouraging message from spirit, from higher self, from your spirit team, God, universe, whatever you resonate with. And it feels like a direct transmission from that higher bandwidth. And this message really does not feel like it's any kind of new information for you, but it's rather coming through as like a confirmation, or it's even like a recognition and a very validating feeling that's coming through as well. The same way I received that note, right? And this is really leading me towards your journey. It's telling me that whoever is meant to resonate with this reading, you're meant to kind of look back on your journey when you begin this journey of your spiritual awakening, so to say, or your remembrance, when it really started, when you really started feeling into the magic of the spiritualness that you started feeling within yourself, and when that happened within you neurologically or energetically or psychologically, there was that initial moment or that phase, when that perception of yours was widening, or it was just completely opening up, and that spiritual ignition, and that all of that was basically reorganizing within you, right? Your internal structure, your internal map was basically reorganizing because you were going through this process of, like I said, spiritual awakening, however you'd like to name it. But it's like that emotion that was attached to that beginning phase, that feeling of awe, that feeling of also intensity in a sense, that sense of meaning that comes out of all of that has been felt, maybe has felt less accessible for you, or maybe you've not been as in touch with it as much as you were in the initial stages. Maybe it has been in the background for a while now. And that's really what's coming through, is that you've been feeling into density lately. Maybe life required you to really be stable and a lot more grounded than you were. Maybe it became a little more linear, or it also made you have to focus and manage tasks that were more so earthly for the past few months or for the past few weeks. And maybe you've had to meet deadlines or had to do certain things that were feeling a little more heavy and dense, or maybe you're listening to things or watching things that felt more heavy and dense, and you had to kind of function, or you had to work with this kind of density and gravity for a while, right? And you entered that phase where a lot of logic and structure were necessary, because that was like an integration phase after that widening, after that opening up. If we stay in that opening up, we would actually lose ourselves in that phase. But we had to come back and integrate it. And that integration phase usually is a little more dense than that initial phase, which is, again, they're both very necessary. But that mystical spark is, it's not that it's gone, it's almost like retranslated, and it's translated into more of this routine, more of structure, more of earthly things and routine, like I said. But over time, again, that structure after that phase is kind of done and it has played its part, it will start feeling more denser, more hard. Like it starts to harden up a little more, right? So maybe when that, like what could have felt very electric to you to begin, it maybe felt more like, what's the word? Like procedural, maybe. And somewhere in that transition in the middle, that feeling, that original feeling, that feeling that actually pulled you onto this path, maybe didn't become as accessible, or it became more like muted, or it turned that volume down a little bit, because of all the responsibility and the repetitive thing that you had to do to integrate, right? So this message is a reminder that that bandwidth is kind of opening back up, and the portal state is coming back online, and it simply just quieted, or it muted itself, or it turned its volume down while you were learning how to operate or how to work within these frameworks where you had to really connect with Earth, with Gaia, in a Saturnian way, in a way where you had to actually take action to bring all of that light that you were opened to, all of that light that you had received, to bring all of that into form, right? And so what's returning now for you is, now it's not going to feel as fantasy like maybe you felt in the beginning, because I know for a lot of people, when this happens in the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like another level. It feels like it's not even of this world. What was that experience? Like, I want to be in that bliss. I want to be in that state forever. But obviously, as humans, we can't stay there forever. So it's not, because now you've integrated and you've gone through that phase of integration, it doesn't return as like fantasy anymore. It actually returns as something you can hold it in your day-to-day life. It returns as this integrated thing that you can fully embody, right? So when you go back to that phase again, or when you re-enter that heart-based state again, where that unity consciousness is what you're feeling into, and yes, that word heart isn't like, yes, it has connection to emotions, but it's really not emotion. Like when I say, speaking of heart, I mean more of this energetic metaphysical heart, rather than like the anatomical, rather than the actual organ heart of humans or of living beings. So this feeling of your perception widening, your brain just, or your being just, opening up and widening and like expanding into the vastness of the cosmos, all of this processing of reality is going to come back up again. And all of this feeling of having to do checklists and, living on a day-to-day basis in a very repetitive way, it's going to start feeling more magical again. But what's more so coming through is like, you're not gonna just go back to that phase out of nowhere. It's gonna happen because the way you interact with life is shifting again, and this portal is opening back again for you to receive that kind of light. But now, because you've matured in your spiritual journey, you can take that while you're also integrating it at the same time. It's almost like instant now. At that beginning or initial phase, you had to kind of immerse yourself in that phase, and immerse yourself in that openingness that was happening, and you couldn't really focus on other things as much, and you just had to be immersed in it. But now it's like you've matured where you can do both of these things of integration and opening up and activation and all of that, and have this beautiful flow. It's that toroidal field of your heart is really anchored and grounded now, that like you can do both of these things at the same time, right? And the key here really is in your heart space, is in your heart portal. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like this keyhole on this heart of this image that looks like earth but in heart shape, and then there's the key right there in between the hands that also look like Gaia or earth. So yeah, it really is in that space of grounded heart. It's in that space of grounded spirituality. It's in that space of grounded unity consciousness, right? It's not as fantasy or in the la la lands just now. You know what I mean? So the cards are very, very, very precise about that. But it's also telling me, looking at all of these cards, it's like the key now is not because of some kind of triggering that happens from the outside, or because, like, I don't know how people get, initiated into the spiritual path, but most of the time I know when we experience that for the first time, it's like mostly because of the external triggering that triggers that activation. Now it's something you can trigger it from within you. Like, you have the control over the switch. Like, I hope that makes sense. Okay. So it's like that key is not somewhere outside of you. It's literally inside your body. And it's also not somewhere in the future. It's not going to be somewhere far down in your future. It's in your capacity to come back to what initiated you in the first place, right? The roots of abundance here, it's not just like financial gain or like external gain, but they're like this ontological grounding of this remembering that you are connected to the field of life itself and to the feeling of abundance itself. That is a field that is moving through earth and moving through the Gaia. And it's like the pulse of Gaia itself is abundant. The pulse of Gaia itself is the feeling of abundance. And you are connected to that level of field. Like, that is powerful. You know what I mean? And you're feeling into that. And as I'm saying this, as I'm channeling this message, I can feel my heart just like opening up. And again, this is really about, like, as I'm doing this, I'm feeling that energy as well. So that is another confirmation that this is not about escaping all of that structure or rejecting that day-to-day task or routines. It's rather about, like, you needed that phase, yes, but it built that level of understanding. It built that level of transformation as well within you, and it built that containment. But now it's like you're being encouraged to reintroduce that level of reverence that you felt, that level of magic that you experienced, and to kind of step outside that mental overprocessing that you may have been in for a while now, and resynchronize your heart, resynchronize your whole being and your field with Gaia. And I don't want to say this in like a really cliche way, like connect to Gaia, but it's really just, it's an actual embodied thing that you're going to experience, like genuinely connecting with the heart field of Gaia, genuinely connecting with the roots of abundance of Gaia, and connecting to like recognizing that nature is not separate from you. Humans are not separate from earth, and humans are not separate from animals, plants, everything that is part of earth. Like, even what we create isn't outside of her. It's not outside of Gaia. Everything here is recursive. Everything is interwoven. Everything is inside this divine matrix of Gaia. Everything is connected. So it's like anything even you create is from Gaia herself, really. Because if humans are part of Gaia, then anything we create is also a part of Gaia, right? So it's like you can't take out the ancestral part of you. Like, you are not just your parent, your mom and dad, but you are literally a part of your grandfather, grandmother, and like your great grandfather, great grandmother, and your great 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 grandfather and grandmother, like all your ancestors. You are a byproduct of all of them, so it's kind of like that. Like, everything in Gaia is a byproduct of her, right? And obviously she's connected to these higher bandwidth of whatever is her ancestry, whatever she has been created out of, or whatever has created her. So we're connected to all of that, and all of this is interwoven, all of this inside this divine matrix, and you are having that sacred reverence come back to you again because of how grounded you are this time. That, like, initial phases might not have been because you were grounded. It might have just been to crack you open. But now it's like, because you're grounded, because you've matured in your journey, now you'll experience this again in a very different way. And when you shift back into that awareness, it's like, even maybe it's for a very brief moment now, but you won't. It's like, when we first go through those phases, we just have to be immersed, like I said earlier. And it feels like maybe we're behind in life, or when we have to do certain tasks that is very earthy and we're not doing that, we just want to be in that space. It can feel like we're falling behind in life. But it's really that you don't lose progress in that. What actually happens is a lot of expansion within your own internal being. So when you do attract things in that period of your life, or in that phase of your life, anything that you attract feels more lighter. Any kind of interaction will feel more meaningful, will be more symbolic, and it will give you a lot more than what you could have extracted if you were not in that space. Like, does that make sense? So yeah, and it's almost like you actually receive more because you are less contracted, or contracted. I don't know how to say that word. Contracted. Yeah, contracted, because you're less contracted. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes when I'm doing these kind of readings, I forget what I'm even trying to say, or how to say words, or like what the meaning of the words I'm saying really is, because it's just flowing out of my mouth. Okay, let's get a couple more cards. That's too many. Just some tarot cards to confirm. Actually, you know what? I want to get oracle cards from this deck. Yeah, let's do that. Just to confirm, because the main message has really came through. So to get some confirmation, we'll get 3 cards, please. Okay, we've got Cosmic Flower 18. The frequency of Cosmic Flower activates our remembrance of the place we call home, the core from which we pour our magnificence out in the world, or out into the world. Number 18. That is amazing. Also, there's 2, 4, 7s. Like, there's the numbers 2, 4, and 7 only in these 3 cards. That makes me think about 24/7. Like, it's literally, you're connected to this pulse, you're connected to this abundance, you're connected to this kind of level of intelligence of Gaia 24/7. It's how it's coming through for me right now. And then Cosmic Flower is like reiteration of what this divine matrix was saying, flower of life, the divine matrix itself. Maybe that's a confirmation for some of you. And we even have that flower of life on the back of this deck. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's definitely a confirmation for a lot of you here. I'm literally seeing, like, in my mind's eye, someone drawing that pattern, or painting it, or creating something out of this, which is beautiful. Also sacred geometry, right? Yeah. Okay, let's get a couple more cards, please. Yay. That's a lot. Okay, is this 2? Yep, perfect. So we've got, first this card, we've got solar plexus number 3. It says the frequency of the solar plexus chakra, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. I mean, these messages are really a confirmation of everything that have come out. And the fact that it literally says it's yellow flower of life. Like, not all of the cards here say flower of life or say cosmic flower either. So that's very interesting. So flower of life, that symbolism itself is going to be very important as you enter this phase. Maybe this is going to be like confirmation when you see it. It's like a reminder for you as well, when you see that symbol. And then we have number 11, belief. The frequency of belief supports our sense of self-worth based on our gifts and talents and a strong connection to source. Wow. Yeah. that is all the messages coming through for you for this reading. Thank you so much for joining me here today and spending time with me. It's been an absolute delight channeling this for you. And now I will see you in another reading. Namaste.